Hey guys, welcome to the ComedyPreneur Show. I'm James Creviston, and I hope you guys like interviews. I love interviews. I don't know what it is about it, but I feel like I learn so much more when someone talks to me and shares their knowledge with me. So today, we have an amazing guest that's going to drop all kinds of knowledge bombs on you. But before we get to that, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, show me some love. Show me and show my guests some love because they're coming, they're spending their time to talk to us, to talk to me, talk to you, and share knowledge. And today we have a great guy, a guy who's been a mentor to me in person, been a mentor to me online, who I always send the same email to him. Hey, Marty, I don't know if you remember me, but this is James from the Clean Comedy uh, Challenge. We met back in this day. I do that all the time. That's like my thing that I do to him. And he always laughs. He's like, I know who you are. So this is Marty Simpson. Let's get to the interview because you guys are going to love it. So come on, let's go. Hey everybody, it's James. This is the ComedyPreneur Show, and today we have an amazing guest. This guy is ahead of the curve. So before we all got locked up and stuck at home, this guy was letting you do comedy from your house already. He had a show going. He's been doing comedy for years. He's produced and helped work on the Clean Comedy Challenge. That's where I met him at. He was a great mentor to me, told me a lot of things that helped my comedy career. And now he's going to help you do your comedy from your own house. So please welcome the amazingly talented and funny Marty Simpson.
Awesome. That's cool. Can you hear that? Can you hear the crowd cheering?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay. I'm coughing now. That's awesome to choke right into your intro. That's fantastic.
Right.
I did live radio for like 3 years and you had a cough button back then, but now they just see you drink the water on Zoom and stuff.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. So can you
what year did you come to the challenge? 2017?
I want to maybe it was
or 18
16 or 17. I don't know. It was in Pasadena.
Oh, yeah.
Might have been 16.
Who won the year you were there? Todd Justice?
Yep, Todd Justice.
Okay, so that was 2016. Yeah, that was a good group of comics that year. So, no, we met back then. I appreciate you shouting out the Clean Comedy Challenge too. That's Leslie Norris Townsend's thing too. So if she's tuning in on this, you can check out Leslie Norris Townsend's funnyleslie.com or cleancomedychallenge.com. That's not my thing. I won it in 2012. Yay, me. Shout out. And she has me back and she treats me like royalty. So it's a lot of fun working with Leslie. But yeah, so it was actually at the challenge, that a group of us afterwards went to an open mic in Pasadena area near the Ice House where the challenge was. And it was on Periscope Live. So it was just like in LA, full well, trying to get stage time is remotely close to impossible. And so we were in LA just like, we should do an open mic. And then you start looking and you're like, it's not even going to be worth it to drive around traffic and get on a list and go at 3 a.m. But this one guy had on the little, whatever it's called, there's like a website that has a name that lists every mic in LA. What is it called? It's the walk or
There's like Bad Slava, and then there's like there's another one. But yeah, it has like the comedy.
It's like the comedy walk or the comedy stalk or the comedy something. And it's actually a pretty good resource. But it listed this one guy and he had a studio kind of like we're sitting in right now. And the comics would watch each other do the sets live in the room. So you had like 6 people in the audience, but it was like the size of a bedroom. I mean, I think it was just like an apartment he renovated and it's like a bedroom, but he had an oversized computer monitor wired to an iPad and you were on Periscope. And at the time, the show had a few hundred followers that tuned into this show. So you were on stage with this iPad, like right here and kind of, talking to the iPad, but the people were laughing right here. And you could see the little bubbles of laughter. And I just thought that was really cool. And then they started heckling in the comments, like saying things about the show. And you could follow in the audience and you could see who they liked and didn't like as the show was progressing. So it was like, this was 4 years ago. So I got home and there were some friends at the challenge that we had made there in Alaska and in California, and I'm in South Carolina. So we were like, why don't we do something online that we could be a part of? But we didn't know Periscope, and like the guy had followers, and he doesn't do it anymore because I reached out to him when I started Punchlines and Pajamas.
Aaron. His name is Aaron, right?
Do what?
Aaron?
Yeah. It was Aaron. Did you meet him?
World Comedy Studios. Yeah. I've had some interactions with him. He's good.
Yeah. And it was not endorsed by the Clean Comedy Challenge. I'd like to say that, but it was a cool idea. And I like reached out to him and emailed him, and he was like, yeah, that kind of fell off by the wayside. So from that standpoint, I started thinking then what what could be there. I liked the idea of that flittering thing, but I also like the idea of just working with other comics and because the best part about open mic is going with your friend and then sitting afterwards, and talking about the jokes, talking about what you're doing and developing it. So it really became pretty quickly more of like an online writing group that we all just kind of tell our new jokes into the computer and go with it. So it became really clear early on that we didn't want it to be live streamed to the public because it was an open mic. It was like, sometimes bad material with sometimes no end and no punchlines or whatever. But I started, it's kind of funny now because I'm narcoleptic, which I take medicine for narcolepsy, which is like right here, by the way, which is like ADHD medicine, but it's the same thing. It keeps me awake, but I've been narcoleptic for like 25 years. And so I can't talk about that on stage though, because it's hack, because like the whole subject of narcolepsy is kind of hack. And so if I do my narcolepsy jokes, I can't be like, but I really have it and I have the right to tell it and stuff. So, but now everybody is streaming an open mic with thousands of followers. I'm like, I've been doing that for like 3.5 years. Why? Well, what's going on? But we have about 250 people that follow the Facebook group. They're comics, and we get anywhere from like 10 to 20 people in there at a time. Sometimes it's 5 or 6, which sometimes are the better ones. But we started having a little headliner to kind of draw people in. And we found even then, it's just, if there was 25 people in here waiting for them to laugh at it, it just is not the same but it is the same in terms of running your new idea
Right.
that you've got by people who are there to listen. And it removes the whole like bitterness of the open mic comic in the back of the room, waiting his turn, like not listening to your jokes on their phone. Like they're not like, I picture New York and LA comics picturing our open mic with 25 people in a Zoom doing this in the background, like not
Yeah.
paying attention to each other.
Here you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I came up with the branding. Like this was the hacky joke now because I was like, I wanted to have it be pants optional open mic. But I do clean comedy, and I just was like, this is not like square with my branding and stuff. So I came up with punchlines and pajamas, sort of as the G-rated version of it. But and so it's actually just on my website. You can sign up, and we've got these real formal rules written about 4-minute set and do this, that, and the other. And really, it's like if you join our meeting when we have it, like you get to do stage time, and but like you might join in and be like, yeah, I just want to watch and check it out. And then by like the 7th comic, you're thinking like, oh yeah, this is really easy. I'm just going to run a joke or two and then we're going to talk about it. So it's really more like it's more like the conversation after an open mic with 6 comics having drinks at a bar talking about the show in an open mic, if that makes sense. So it's pretty cool. And I met some comics and got some stage time out of it. Like when I would come to LA or come to different locations, and I've gotten some gigs out of it from the comics who've done that. So if you want to make fun of me for being a comedy coach that has only been doing it, 10 or 12 years, that I'm trying to leverage young comics and stuff, that would be an accurate roast.
No, not at all. I mean, that's the thing. This is the future of comedy, right? We don't know what's happening, and some people like you were ahead of the curve, right? I've tried some different shows or different things, and
Right.
it's not easy. So once you kind of get in the rhythm and you can build a show, or you can build a program to be able to have people. I mean, listen, nobody's going out to the stages right now. There's no clubs open. There's nothing for you to do. So if you can only do it from your house, in front of your computer, and at least get some form of feedback, it's okay. I've heard comedians be like, well, it's not the same. You're not going to get the same feedback, and you're not doing it standing up, and blah, blah. It's like, okay, well, yeah, you can find a way to justify not practicing. Anybody can, right? When I played baseball, I would find reasons not. I would like, well, I spent all Saturday at the batting cages. I don't
It's
need
cold. It's
yeah.
cold outside. The bat will crack. I pay a lot of money for this bat. I want to
Yeah.
go out and take bat risks. Yeah, I would say that's 100% the reason I started it, because this will sound a little bit like not elitist, but like highfalutin comedy, where if your calendar gets busy enough, it's harder to do open mics.
Yeah.
But when you're hungry and you're young in comedy, you don't have your calendar full. You can like judge the older comics for like, oh, I'll never see older comics at open mic. Well, they're working Wednesday through Sunday, and they're tired on Tuesday night at midnight and don't want to wait in line for 100 people. But so I just thought, if we could walk into your computer room, turn on a computer, and have 12 people that want to listen to each other's jokes for an hour, like it was part of me trying to develop my act further, more intensely, with less effort. And meaning less effort. Like if you could take batting practice at your computer for 40 minutes at home as a baseball player, well, of course you would do that. And so it is different though. I mean, all of the people arguing is not the same. I'm live in the room. Those are real arguments.
Right.
But now maybe you should have been developing your ability to be funny in an online streaming show for such a time as this. Like that is. But I mean, I don't know that I have any of the answers. I just know that a small group of people have tuned in repeatedly to Punch on the Pajamas, and so it's a success from that standpoint. It's not a success like we have a wild following of people flocking to it, but it is funny how often, like, we have a lady that's from Canada that lives in New Zealand,
Wow.
and
Okay.
she's come like 10 or 15 times, and she just like has her accent. But so I'm doing an open mic with the lady halfway across the planet. I mean, that's pretty cool. And her references none of us get, and we all stare at the screen and then make fun of it afterwards because her words are different. But that helps her, because she goes to places where American tourists are and stuff like that. So, but in terms of like painting the picture that I was way ahead of the curve and I'm like out in front doing like massively cool things, that's an inaccurate statement that I'm happy to let you propagate out there. But
I mean, but it is interesting because I've thought of this before, and I mentioned this to other comedians in LA. I was like, we should do something like that. And they're like, well, you're not going to get any better. You're not gonna be able to do anything with that. That's not going to help. And I was like, and so I as a LA comedian took whatever other LA comedian said as gospel, right? Well,
right.
foolishly sometimes, and then I was like, you know what? No, that's not right. Like, we have so much access. These are the same guys that are making sketches on YouTube and telling me how they're going to be famous from YouTube or Instagram, but they can't
Right.
get on. It's like, come on, man. Like, that's not the same. So,
Right. Which, for what it's worth, I have invested a fair amount of time into trying to ramp up the YouTube presence too, which is an entirely different art form.
man.
Guys that get their million YouTube subscribers and make little funny sketch videos and stuff. The monologist, purist, stand-up comic in me wants to rail on them and be like, that's not what we do. But man, I sure wish that I would have paid attention, because in 2012, I filmed my son's birthday party in the backyard. Of course, Coach Simpson, I lined the backyard with chalk, football lines, put 10, 20, 30-yard line, and had the Notre Dame end zone. And then I put all these college fight songs on an iPod list and played like Florida State's fight song and Notre Dame's fight song. We had a little 8-year-olds playing a game of football for his birthday party. Well, I filmed it and sent it to my brother on YouTube in LA. Coincidentally, he's just in LA. And because he wasn't able to see his nephew's birthday party. Well, like 5.5, 6 years later, I've gotten $120 a month from Google because that birthday party has almost 3 million views on it. And you get about $100 for every 100,000 views. And then when you get to 1 million views, the algorithm changes. Like, basically, had I just said to myself, I should become a YouTuber based on this hard data that I have and made 20 or 30 other home movie videos, I would be in the coronavirus situation with $4,000 a month of ad revenue coming in. And it was very duplicatable. Like, if you study what's there, I got 4,200 subscribers on my family channel where we just post our home movies.
Wow.
And I can't leverage that. They don't come live to my shows to see me do stand up. They might not even know I do stand up, because that's the one thing about I learned at YouTube. If you change and pivot, your subscribers turn on you. Like, so I'll put like a little birthday video of my daughter's 16-year-old birthday, and it'll get 150 likes, and it'll get shared, and it'll get subscribers commenting because they want to see home video. I don't, it's like, I should probably have done that. So now I've reapplied all of that same logic back to studying how to repeat some YouTube stuff. And it's not easy because I have like 802 subscribers. And if you don't have 1,000 subscribers on your comedy channel, you're just in the ghetto of YouTube.
Yeah.
And so you're right. You're exactly right that the work ethic of Coach Simpson is why the Punch on the Pajamas existed, because I have no talent. Like, I can't play the guitar. I can't sing. I can't do anything. So I was like, but I can grind it out and run jokes over and over and over again. And as you listeners probably are thinking right now, like, oh my gosh, he's so wordy. And so like that's why I need open mics. I need to take a story to the stage and run it 15, 20, 30 times before it gets down to that, just the parts that are funny in line at the mall or something, that's because I mean, my original stories online and open mic are just go on and on and on and on. So, but yeah, and also it's just fellowship. There's no more fun people to hang out with than other comedians that are trying to get their craft done. They're just as bitter and dead inside as you are, so you can bond quickly, and so it's a lot of fun.
What was the biggest obstacle or the hardest part of getting something like this online community started? What was the big hurdles that you had to jump through? And if somebody wanted to duplicate this exact show, but do some kind of online comedy show or online setup, what would you recommend they do?
I think the biggest hurdle to get over is the paralysis of analysis. Like just, oh wow, I see this guy doing his live video and he's got 7 people watching. I'm not going to be that guy.
Right.
Or like, oh, it's going to be awkward. Can I host an online open mic? I'm a one-liner. I'm a setup punch guy. Or is my microphone, is my guitar going to sound good in the open mic? And, I do crowd work. Like all of these things are reasons why as a comedian, we would rather just watch Netflix,
Right.
as opposed to reasons why we shouldn't do it from a business standpoint. Because if we all approached the comedy business like it was our real estate business, we would have all been doing online open mics every night for 15 minutes a night, running jokes and having a writing group and doing things like Seinfeld said he worked 8 hours a day writing because it was his job. And I think that as a comedian, you find comedy and you get some success, and then that's a little bit like heroin. And you're like, oh, if I could just only do the heroin, then comedy is fun. But really, the success on the stage is like 1%. That's like the pearl in the oyster. And so I think Punchlines and Pajamas is just a way to get a lot of oysters in the bucket, is how I view it. So I would say if you're trying to start it, start it. Walk up on the stage and call yourself a comedian and tell jokes at open mic, and then you're a comedian. Just don't put it on your website yet, and don't be on Gig Masters yet. but like, but like, I think because there was like 5 months when the Facebook page had 12 and 13 and 14 followers, and those 10 people would come every week and we would tell jokes to each other. And then somebody would tell a joke 2 months later that 8 people had heard 2 months earlier with new lines in it, and tag it and talk to them and do it. And so now I've actually been lame about it. We're doing it again next Tuesday night. It'll be at I think 7 p.m. Eastern time. We play with the time, but we've kind of stayed on Tuesdays because you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're not going to get any working comics doing it. But then I would be tired and on the road. So a lot of times I'll sign on to the Zoom and then pass the host off to somebody else. And now I've got a partner in it that's just going to do it every week, but I'll still be involved. It'll still be my website and everything. And I'll be dropping in and talking about it and stuff too. So, but that, I think that the main thing you got to do on YouTube, on anything like this, is the schedule and repetition. So for like 7, 10, 12 weeks, 5 people, 4 people, 3 people, 7 people. And then it just started happening where we got 250 people clicking like a guy like you, James, would come to the open mic, and then 7 of your friends have seen it on Facebook and like, yeah, I was thinking about that. Was that lame? Was it? And you're like, no, man, it was like actually pretty cool. And then somebody joins the next week from the group and they're like, oh, James said it was not that bad. And then when they see it happen, it's like, oh, now it builds. I think it's like anything else. I think that we just don't want to do it work ethic wise. Like it was hard for me to shower before this 2:00 Zoom, but I was like, oh man, I got to get my camera reset up from the streaming platform and see if, so I can play a sound effect or two, because I want to be able to like do my little Yoda. Yeah. I want to be able to do the, okay. I just had copyright issues on your Zoom thing. I got hit for that on YouTube for playing it was like a minute long thing of Yoda song I played,
That's fun.
but yeah, I think if you learn nothing else from my long-winded blabbering, is just do it and analyze it after. Don't analyze it beforehand and then make you not do it. Because as a football coach, I'm like, have the practice, film the practice, watch the film, correct the mistakes. Have the game, film the game, watch the game, correct the mistakes. So we had Punchlines and Pajamas. We filmed Punchlines and Pajamas. We watched Punchlines and Pajamas, and we correct the mistakes. It's not rocket science. You guys with talent are burdened by all that talent getting in your way of your work ethic.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, right. I always use the Kevin Hart quote: "Everybody wants to be famous, but nobody wants to put in the work." So that's the thing that all comedians come up against, right? Like, well, I'm funny. Why am I not on TV? And it's like, well, how many
Right.
open mics did you go to? How many shows have you done? Are you writing every day? Are you creating new stuff? Are you going
Right.
over your old material? If you're not doing those things, guess what? You're not going to have success.
Well, and also that's a great use for Punchlines and Pajamas is old material.
Yeah.
So you go through, I don't know what your process is, James, and we could talk about process, but I use Evernote. Um, and so I tag every new joke with a new joke take to open mic tag. So if I haven't done the work and haven't done the homework, I can go to the open mic in the car. I can click this tag in Evernote and it'll pull up the most recent things that I've just thrown into Evernote and written. The things that you're like, oh, I want to say that on stage, but you haven't actually written.
Right.
And so, a year and a half ago, I might have told a joke that I forgot about, or it's gone, or I haven't had a chance to workshop it. Well, bringing that stuff back has led to 15 new minutes of material. I mean, I would say Punchlines in Pajamas is directly responsible for 15 to 17 new polished minutes of material in my act in just a year of time. And then, but I've got probably a new 45 in that year that I feel good about, maybe a new 35 that I feel good about. But, 20 minutes of it was running Punchlines in Pajamas first, and then taking on stage. The other thing Punchline, the open mic does online is you can get to the stage quicker. So normally you might have to be an open mic, wait in line till 3 a.m., be tired, and then you didn't have an audience, so you don't really know. There's like 4 comics in the back of the room laughing at it. Doesn't necessarily mean you should tell that to a corporate setting in a conference room at a Holiday Inn Express for a gig master's gig or something, So you can get like-minded people around you. And because if you're a crowd mic guy, maybe you start a crowd mic Punchlines in Pajamas iteration where you're going to interview each other and have to improv it. If you're a setup punch guy, maybe you put the parameters around that. You got to do setup punch here. I didn't set any rules like that, but I would say also be selfish. Like I wanted to have a forum where I got to talk about comedy with comedians, because I like analyzing other people's stuff too.
Same.
And but I don't want to do that at a real open mic because you don't know this comic here. You're having you're at the bar having a drink together, and you don't want to be like, you can kind of say it in conversation. Like the code word for me usually is like, where I thought you were going to go with that. Where I thought you were going to go with that is It's kind of like your way of saying, here's a tag or here's a note. And then the comics who receive that well become my friends usually, because I'm going to point the fire hose at people. And if the fire hose shuns you away, then you're not going to end up being my friend. And I just have to live with that. But it's a constant process. So I would say be selfish and purpose the online thing toward what it is you want to be doing, and then do it. And then if nobody is watching it, analyze it and correct it and make it better, or stop. Like there's no real rocket science. That's how I cook also. I'm like, is this enough? Is this enough salt? Is this enough salt? Oh, yep, that was enough salt. Like 7 shakes ago. Next time the spaghetti will be good. So that's my process.
Are you thinking about turning the what the open mic portion is? Are you thinking about taking like people who want to do a polished set or a semi-polished set to a online show process? Now that we're kind of in this zone of where there is no shows, but maybe there's a ability to have an online show and reach out to people in the community that way.
If I answered it honestly, I probably would have to say I kind of am right now for the first time because of that question. No, the online show, like I think everybody was in a race to get to the internet, and I'm watching some of my friends do their live podcasting, their live shows on the internet, and they're promoting it hard for like 4 days, and they come out and I watch it. I'm like, ooh, I wouldn't have told people about that. But so my Coach Simpson plan, sort of to stay non-hypocritical about the paralysis of analysis, is I started what is amounting to like a Kevin Pollak chat show or like a Tonight Show knockoff thing that's live. And we've done 5 episodes of it. And but I put it on Facebook like the day of the show. So you have like 4 hours. And then when I hit live, you get, your Facebook people get the live thing. So I've had 25, 30, maybe the most 40 or 50 people in the live. And then it gets 200 views when it sits there for a couple of days. But I'm trying to get 10 or 20 of those under my belt to know what it is I want to be doing. My dad and mom always watch my stuff and they'll give their notes, and it's cool because they're very insightful. My mom was an English teacher. My dad was a lawyer. So they're very insightful, but their first note was like, it doesn't seem like the show has a direction. And I was like, yeah, I think that's because the show doesn't have a direction yet. I think I'm pulling that off, Mom. I think I'm nailing that, but so what I kind of, I've seen Steve Hofstetter started like a thing with 2 of his buddies, Bauer and another guy. I can't remember his name, but they're doing the shows. A couple people are doing a show, Starving Comics, Quarantine, Johnny W., Bob Smiley, and John Branian, who would be good guests on your show to talk about this because he's getting 1,000, 2,000 views each night that he does it. And they're taking Venmo tips during the show, and they've made some money that is impactful. It's not big money, but it's grocery money for the comics that are on the show, And so it's kind of a cool, like dry bar type model where you're like watching a comedian, you can pay him $1, like if you're watching them. So I'd be up for being a part of that. I have the technology, I have the setup, I have the skill set to be able to host and to produce that type of thing. I just don't know yet if it could translate. And also I'm selfish, James, because I think my style suffers through the lens a little bit. Like, I think I'm a storyteller and I hate the word storyteller for comics. That just means you talk too much without punchlines. But I think the physical aspect of what it is I do is very impactful to the reviews that I get. And so it's like, ugh, if I started this whole thing and then I'm not the setup punch guy, because I feel like radio comics are perfect for this avenue. And I don't know. I'm probably a little scared that it just would fail. And I think that I would be quicker to succeed at a talk show type thing. And so that's probably more the truth, is that I'm just like leaning into what I think would be successful at. But I would perform on somebody's show for sure, because I've already done 3 or 4 corporate gigs that my agent got me that basically were like what I'm doing with you, with 15 salespeople that are having a happy hour once a week. And they're like, we should hire a comedian. And, you know, it's like $200 or $100 or something to do 15 minutes of comedy before that show. Before that meeting. And it ends up being a conversation. I just have a conversation with the 12 people and then, cause it's like My Son Lies Slowly is material that I do a big act out with, like, you know, so it's like, I'm going to be awkward for 30 seconds and do my long act out right here in front of this small camera. It's just a weird thing where if you're a wordsmith, I think you can, like Norm Macdonald said, he wasn't in a lot of the sketches at SNL, but he could look right into the camera and write funny for his voice.
Yeah.
And I think those people should be doing Andy Rooney every night, talking about the coronavirus, talking about comedy, and they should be doing that. And I feel like right now, I would just be average at it. And so I'm probably selfish to not do it. But
your stand-up style is unique. It is it's reminding me. I watched your special on Amazon.
Oh, thanks, man.
You're reminding me a little bit of Christopher Titus, like a one-man show.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I'm telling you the story, and there's props, and there's this, and there's information, and you have the whole setup. And I really,
there are no props. I just saw my special. I had a coach background that I borrowed from my school just to put us in there, but I didn't interact with the props. I'm not a prop comic, James.
Not like that. My bad. But I'm saying, like, there was this whole like one-man show feel to it. Like, this is, Christopher Titus was the first person I thought of when I was watching.
I love Christopher Titus. Yeah. I love his show. I love how he goes emotional in the middle of it. Sits on his bench and talks about his dad punching him and stuff. Like, I think that's probably the highest compliment you could give me, to feel like you thought that I was in the category of Christopher Titus. I think Ron White is probably my earlier than Titus inspiration. Like, when Ron White was up there doing what he was doing, I thought, oh, that's kind of like what I could do. And then Birbiglia was the other big one. But those three, Ron White, Christopher Titus, and Mike Birbiglia, are like my guys that, because often, I don't know about you, but like, I gravitate toward Dimitri Martin, Mitch Hedberg, Stephen Wright, because I'm the story guy. So what I find funny is not the story guy. Like Bill Engvall, for example, is the guy that I am on the Blue Collar. Of the 4, Bill Engvall is who is cast of that mold. But Ron White makes me laugh a little more. Foxworthy makes me laugh a little more. So I don't want to be Bill Engvall in that 4. I want to be Foxworthy. Right. But if I try to be Foxworthy, then my jokes aren't as funny. So I had to figure out a way, I kind of tell people, like, I'm a big leaguer. I'm a major league player doing what it is I do in this narrow window of what I do. But if I get out of that little narrow window, I'm a single A player that is going to, go back home and be a high school baseball coach, so, and I feel like if I can get in an 8-minute story that has 50 punchlines in it and bring you along for the ride and have 2 lines in it that relate to something 40 minutes ago that I said, that also makes some soccer moms emotional along the way, that's the pocket I want to be in. So, but yeah, so I think I could probably Paul Harvey this thing. Like, I could probably look into the camera and do some story profoundness to that, which is actually an idea you're giving me in this podcast. So that's kind of good. Thank you for that. I didn't think of that until this conversation. So this is Punchlines and Pajamas. Like, we just had a little 2-person writing group that is going to help my comedy development, because we took the time to sit here on 2:00 and do this. Now in coronavirus, there's nothing else to do.
Right.
But that's not true, because I've got 90 videos I need to be editing and stuff. So I did take the time out of my day when you messaged me and said, okay, well, and part of it was, and I'm not lying, part of it was, if I talk comedy for 30 minutes, something good will come from that.
Yeah.
And we just did. In fact, I'm literally typing in my Evernote right now.
So
I'm going to tag it with amazing ideas from James.
I want you to know my process is, I write everything in little notes in my iPhone, and then I transfer that to a Google Doc. And so I have one for every year that I've been doing comedy. And then when I go through there and I take out ideas and build sets and stuff. So, but I have 138 pages of of jokes written.
Right.
Which is like way too many, because then I'm like, I don't know, this is fun. And then you get stuck, and I'm like, all right, I gotta stop doing that. But I think of stuff all the time.
Well, and I think what you're finding too is what I would describe that, I'm going to say coronavirus ideas. I'm just putting this in Evernote, because if you don't stop and do it right then, you don't
Yeah.
ever remember it, and then you remember it 7 months later, and you're like, I thought of that a while ago. Should have been doing that. Coronavirus ideas. Paul Harvey story time right into the camera. Titus. But yeah, no, I love Titus's show too. I thought
Yeah.
Titus did the best job of taking his style of comedy to the sitcom format, and Foxworthy didn't at all do that, and his shows were terrible. But I love Fox. I mean, Foxworthy is probably top 3 for me in terms of just the guys doing it the right way. He doesn't make me laugh the way Hedberg makes me laugh, but Foxworthy is like an idol in terms of that. But
Yeah.
let me see. Hold on. Comedy ideas.
That's the thing, is I tend to, like you, I tend to pick comedians that are not my same style. Like I love people like Anthony Jeselnik or Daniel Tosh, or a little darker and say a little
A
things that
little darker.
I would never say ever. And but then I'm like, oh, that's so smart, that's so funny, that's so
Yeah.
different than me. And but that's not my style. And then I'm a bit huge fan of Jerry Seinfeld. He's like one of my
Right.
comedy idol. And I literally every year, this is the only year we haven't done it yet, although hopefully it comes back. We go to Vegas for a weekend, and he does 2 different weekends in Vegas, one at like the beginning of the year, one at the end of the year. And we go and watch Jerry Seinfeld do stand up. And it's usually the same set. I mean, he does
Right.
the jokes or whatever, but it's like watching magic happen, right?
Uh-huh.
And you're like, what is this? I can't, how do I replicate this? How do I learn this? And you just feel,
Right. I remember in a hotel, we were traveling. It was back years ago when Tiger Woods chipped in on 16 at the Masters. The Nike logo rolled over the ball and then fell in. Nike couldn't have written that into a movie and had it be believable that their product placement would be huge on the screen for 30 seconds as the ball rolled in, and then Tiger Woods did, it's like, it's iconic Tiger Woods shot. And we went nuts, like going crazy. The 2 guys in the room that knew golf and knew the Masters, and I'm from South Carolina, so I'm biased towards the Masters. And the other 2 comics were like, isn't pulling for Tiger Woods kind of like pulling for Michael Jordan? And we both looked at each other. We're like, yeah, it's exactly like that. Michael Jordan is freaking amazing. Like, it's really fun to pull for Michael Jordan. He's the best that's ever played. Like, what are you talking about? This is greatness. We're watching greatness. Now, Tiger then went on to have his own personal issues and personal demons and whatnot. I'm not going to get into that. But that moment when he chipped in, it was just like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And so watching Seinfeld do material that you know well, that is like, if you found fault with that, it would be like saying, I don't want to go see Led Zeppelin because they're going to sing Stairway to Heaven, and I've heard that 5,000 times.
right.
And so it's the opposite for me. Like, I mean, I want to see Pete Holmes do. I went to an open mic where Pete Holmes was the headliner in LA last time I was out there, and he did 20 minutes and he went first, which is kind of interesting. I realized, oh yeah, he went first, so he could jet. That's funny. Like, he didn't, like, the Facebook propaganda got everybody to fill that room because Pete Holmes was there, but then he went first and then left.
Yeah.
But he was working out material, like grinding through stuff, laughing at how it didn't work. And then he fell into some stuff that killed. Like, that, I do love seeing the process happen. Kevin Nealon has his show in LA that's like the new material night. I love seeing that happen. But then also, like you said, like, you want to go see Seinfeld once a year and see, like, you want to see Pele play soccer in your lifetime. If you're alive when Pele's playing soccer, like, that's, especially if you are a comedian.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you want to see the best that's ever done it do it? So
Well,
I agree wholeheartedly with that.
that's what I always say, is like, comedians should be studying comedy. I just did the Steve Martin master class. I'm gonna do the Judd
How
Apatow.
was that? How was Steve Martin's class? Like, I've heard mixed reviews.
It's if you're a beginning comedian, that's not great, because he doesn't really teach like joke writing or any of that kind of stuff. He kind of goes over his stuff. But if you are a comedian who's already performed, you understand how comedy works. There's a lot of little nuggets in there. And then if you're also interested in things like writing comedy films or different kinds of comedy, not just straight stand up, like maybe a little more prop comedy or silly comedy or zany comedy.
Right.
We don't have any of those people now that I can think of. I mean, Carrot Top, but he has residency in Vegas, so you're never gonna. But we don't have those anymore. So he's very interesting in that, and I love his stories about writing. I mean, one of my favorite comedy movies is The Jerk. Like, I absolutely love it. I think it's perfect in every possible way, from opening to closing. That movie's perfect, a perfect comedy film.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. So what I'm hearing you say is, like, even if it's not like Judy Carter right joke it's like inspiring. Like it got your mind
Yes.
thinking in ways that benefited you for the money you spent on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wrote
So
I
that's
wrote a
awesome.
ton of ideas down as I was watching it. I'll be like, oh, like what we had here. I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's genius. There's a nugget there and there's a nugget there. And so and I'm also a huge Steve Martin fan. Like I have
Yeah,
every single one of his, stand-ups, and I listen to, and I've read his book like 20
he's the
times.
best. He's amazing. The Born Standing Up, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah, no,
so,
I listened to it on. I listened to the unabridged version on like 4 different comedy trips. Just listening to it, I loved it. Loved all of it.
it's so smart. And so next one is going to be Judd Apatow. And that's because I also write, screenplays, and I wrote a web
Hmm.
series last year, and it was put on Facebook Watch, and just those things like that. So I have aspirations. I love stand up. Stand up is like my one love, but I have aspirations outside of that. I basically want to be the next Judd Apatow. Like I want,
Yeah, and Apatow's the best. Like in terms of the product that he puts out there,
yeah,
he hit my funny bone the most. Like if it's produced by Judd Apatow or directed or written by Judd Apatow, I'm probably gonna spend the time invested in watching it. Just like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, to me, he just produced it, so Jason Segel wrote it, I guess. But that's probably my funniest the funniest movie for me. Superbad is probably in the top 3. Like as a Christian comic who does churches, I can't endorse you watching Superbad, but it's kind of my testimony. Like the kid, Michael Cera's character pretty much was me in high school if he also was a jock and played football. But I just had that weird dual existence where I was an athlete, but I wasn't the glee jock character that was like picking on the band. I was like hanging out with the band kids and stuff. So it was like Superbad was cool. So I like Save the Cat is a book that some people make fun of, but I've like wrote like 5 different little ideas for sitcoms and 5 or 6 different movie ideas. Then I actually ended up writing a whole movie that's horrible. It's a terrible script, but while you're writing a book, I mean, while you're reading a book like that, if it produces that work, then it's fruitful. So that's what I'm hearing you say about Masterclass of Steve Martin. So that's cool. I might go ahead and check that out actually, but because we have time, we
yeah.
got some time here to
We
do
got
some stuff.
time. So
Well, what I
where?
was hoping to do is get my show, uh, Marty's Hang Time, off the ground to be able to do like a Wednesday weekly videoed podcast internet streaming show in the fall when I'm touring again. So you go on the road Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then get your guests to come in on Monday or Tuesday and then film it and then edit it and put it on Wednesday as a podcast or something. But so these live rehearsals, it's called Marty's Hang Time to just kind of imply we're just hanging out talking. But also I was a punter and kicker in college, so it's like a play on the word hang time. And so that's kind of what we're doing right now. Like if I was the host, this is basically an episode of Marty's Hang Time ish. Kind of we have little segments. I don't know if you've seen Kevin Pollak Chat Show or not, but that's one of my things that I just enjoy. I like his style of doing it, and I think Pollak and I are probably equal on the narcissistic spectrum. So it it fits well with my style of stuff. But that's cool. So you're based in LA, right?
Yeah, yeah, based in LA.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. The writing and stuff. I hate when I talk to comics that are just like, yeah, I'm not doing it. Like there needs to be 5, 6, 7 different avenues of things that we're doing if you're taking it seriously. And I tend to invest in the people and relationships around me that are taking it seriously, meaning you are kind of what you hang around in a way. And so if you're just up late at night smoking weed, doing nothing else but writing weed jokes and going to open mics telling weed jokes, then you're going to be the weed joke comic. But if you're hanging around people that are motivated and stuff like that. So I think the hurdle, my brother is the most talented person I've ever been around. He's written 4 or 5 songs, Emmy nominated songs that appeared on The Simpsons, comedy songs. He's tours. He's Wayne Brady's musician on the road for like 7 years in improv groups, not anymore, but like before Wayne broke, and really got his big break by winning The Masked Singer. That's the best show lately, The Masked Singer. But my brother is so talented that he sees it in his head the way he wants it to be, and then he burdens himself with the journey of making it look that way and feel that way and sound that way and be that way. And so his finished products are far and few between. And I'm like, just like vomiting on everything. And I have about the same number of finished products. The 2 or 3 worth finishing out of all that vomit are there. And so it's just we kind of come to the same quality from a whole different perspective. And I
Right.
think it's good to hang around people that are different than you like that. So it's good.
I always say that you have to have your own process of how you do things, because everyone's
Mm,
process is different. Like I know every day I'm going to write at this time, and I have a specific drink and a specific music that I listen to and everything that gets me in the zone. So like
Right.
when
And
you
I'm getting depressed inside hearing
yeah,
that process. And then that's what your point is.
yeah,
And like, and you would applaud my process of like, I interrupt my family dinner and run out of the room and write down the things my kids just said, because if I
that's me.
don't, I'm not going to say it at open mic the next time. And if I did what you do, I've tried it and I'm really productive and I should do it more often. And I'm just lazy, but no, I'm just kidding. But when I do it, it is like, it's an overwhelming sense that I'm wasting time because of how little that it produces. But I have these other 5, 6, 7 streams of things. So when I sit down to do the writing, it's actually video editing or planning the thing we're going to film. And so there's the people who do what you're doing might have analysis of paralysis of analysis in other areas where I'm like, a 10 out of 10, but structure of time, I'm a 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
And so you would be a good business partner for me because you would apply the structure to it. And I've actually found that in Sean Reynolds, who's a comedian you should have on your show. By
Okay.
the way, I can give you his link, Sean Reynolds Comedy and stuff. He's just started a podcast, dropped his dry bar. He's killing it. But the topic of his show would be how to leave your full-time job, how to know when to leave your full-time job, because he was an Aldi store manager, a
Wow.
regional manager, award-winning guy, making a ton of money, had 5 kids, but then went full-time into comedy successfully. And he's that guy that's the I-Dot or T-Crosser business CEO. And he
Oh,
and I came together and kind of formed an alliance that helps each other a lot. So I think it's important to find those people around you, or else you're not going to make it. You can't make it out there alone. Being funny, everybody's funny. If I go open mic in LA and I'm 30th in line and there's 27 people that I watch do comedy that I think, oh gosh, that guy's funnier than I am.
yeah.
You know, gosh, he thinks really funny. Like, I wish I thought as funny as that guy.
Yeah.
And then I go home and look at his website and it's like a blogger.com powered by Google 2-page website from 2009. And he probably hadn't had a gig in 5 years. And he's probably looking at me going like, oh, that guy works all the time. I'm funnier than him, you know?
There you
So, I just think to the people that, to your original question, just do it is Nike's theme. And I'm an Adidas guy, so we won't use Nike's thing.
go.
But I think that do the work and then analyze the work and then correct your mistakes. And if you fear making the mistakes, then just go back to your other job, because all our life as comedians is figuring out how to correct the mistakes. And if you don't want to call it that, you're just lying to yourself.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being on this. Where can people find you? Where can they check out Punchlines and Pajamas? Where can they learn more about what you're doing?
Well, the best way is to follow the Facebook page, Punchlines and Pajamas, because that's where we cancel or postpone or post the time of it. So, but then it'll have a link every week to go to martysimpson.com/PNP, it'll take you to the Punchlines and Pajamas page. But the Facebook page has all the links there. And it's amazing to me how quickly people will send a message and ask a question that's answered if they would just do this.
Quick.
They could scroll down, like the page loads, and then the question is answered right there. And they're like, oh, I got to find Messenger. I got to find Messenger and ask them what time it is this week. What time is it this week? I'm like, it's 7 p.m. Eastern time, right there, right there. And then they're like, oh, can I join in and not have to do material? And literally that one was like right there on the screen. So anyway, but Punchlines and Pajamas, but also martysimpson.com, spelled just like OJ and the television show, and but Marty, and then crosstowncomedy.com is our kind of business venture fun stuff that I like to promote. This is my crosstown comedy stuff there. And I would show you that, but I don't want to wear a hat backwards more than about 2 seconds and there, I'm not afraid to be bald. I'm not Brett Michaels. I just like my hat.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man. You're doing good stuff, James. Keep doing it, man. Keep plugging away. I would say a buddy of mine who's kind of spiritual, I don't know if you're into this kind of thing or not, but he said he kind of was praying in his prayer time, and he got a thought for me, specific to me, that he said that he was just hearing, stay the course, stay the course. And we're all out there. I felt like I had my big break, James. Like my life was changing. March, April, and May were the best 3 months I was ever going to have. And then I signed a contract to do this giant thing in the fall that's going to be life-changing for me. And, maybe none of it is going to happen now. So I'm like Moses. I took this 15-year journey to make it, and then I don't get to go in the promised land because of the virus. And so, but from an ego standpoint, I won because I made it. And then, but from an actual pay the bill standpoint, I might be a football coach here in the fall, but a virtual one, because you gotta teach from the school. But But it is the first time in my marriage that I've been very grateful my wife was a school teacher because they kept getting paid. So that was
Yeah.
pretty good.
My wife too. She works with special needs kids, so that's awesome.
Well, thanks for watching my show. And also Amazon Prime, Clean If It Kills Me, Marty Simpson. Y'all can check that out and make me 14 cents or whatever I make when you watch it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hey guys, I know that was a long interview, about 40 minutes or so, and it was great. There's so much great stuff in there. And Marty Simpson's an amazing guy. Like I said in the beginning, he taught me so much. I learned a ton from him, and this interview has little nuggets all through it. So if you didn't go and listen to the whole thing, go back, listen to it multiple times. He's so inspiring. The other thing is, like he said, you think something's going to change your life in 1 second. You think that one thing is going to come and change everything. That's not the case. It's not how life works. It's little incremental growths. And there's always a wrench in the works, guys. Always. So keep hustling, keep working, keep grinding, write every day, tell a joke every day, write a story, whatever you're into, whatever your thing is, do that every day. Work hard at it because honestly, I'll tell you right now, I grind every single day. Every day. Well, I take Sundays off, right? That's a Sabbath day, whatever. But other than that, every day I'm grinding. I'm writing something. I'm working on a project for someone else. I'm working on my own projects. I'm editing videos. Whatever it is, I'm doing stuff every single day. And that's what you have to do. If you want to be a comedypreneur, if you want to move forward, if you want to go from just telling jokes on stage to making money from them jokes on and off stage, you have to grind. You have to hustle. So like, subscribe, follow, get ready for more stuff, more great interviews like this, more tips and tricks for you, more information. Check out ComedyPreneur.com. There's over 60 articles on there, and it's growing every day with more information and more stuff to help you out. Thank you again for watching. Thank you again for listening. Have a great one. See you soon. Bye.